Hamas and the Netanyahu's government are truly committed to the ceasefire?
Look, it's hard to say. No, I don't think that the Israeli government is remotely committed to the ceasefire, but they say that they're against Palestinian self-determination. They're against the idea of a statehood. So it's pretty clear what it seems to me that this Israeli government wants, and with a settler component of the government, it's clear that cannot go anywhere else. In order to survive, is to continue to annex the land, to oppress the Palestinian people, to persuade them, the Palestinians, to leave one way or another. And I've made the argument that I strongly believe that this ceasefire might achieve what the genocide has not achieved: the forced displacement of other Palestinians from the land, not giving them the means to rebuild, for example. Why cement is not allowed to come in? So I'm really scared. As for Hamas, I don't know, because it's also difficult to see what Hamas. I don't think that Hamas should decide, or the Palestinian Authority should decide for the future of Palestine. The Palestinians should be called to vote their representatives. Of course, there should be a transition period. They need to get out of the emergency, but it shouldn't be. Again, Hamas is not the equivalent, and is not what stands before the Israeli government. If the Palestinians have no government, this is the reality. The Palestinians are an occupied people with a lot of chaos among themselves, and they are surviving a genocide and continuous ethnic cleansing as we speak. So I don't think that there is a legitimate representative of the Palestinian people so far.
What is the current situation in the West Bank, where settler violence and demolitions continue to rise? Has the war shifted from Gaza to that region?
Already in October 2024, I was in the report that I presented to the General Assembly, Genocide as Colonial Erasure. My second report on genocide, I was explaining that I could see acts of genocide sort of leaking out into the West Bank, primarily the extrajudicial killings. There has been a shoot-to-kill policy for many years. It was denounced years ago as a practice in use among Israeli soldiers toward the Palestinians by the Israeli organization B'Tselem, and definitely this has intensified. Although there was no Hamas presence in the West Bank, Israel has killed over 1,000 Palestinians since October 7, a little longer than 2 years. 200 of those are children. 10,000 Palestinians have been jailed, mostly from the West Bank. And also the destruction of the creation of conditions of life calculated to destroy. And this is less documented than in Gaza, but hospitals have been attacked. The Jenin refugee camps and other refugee camps. The Jenin refugee camps has been completely destroyed. From the northern West Bank, 40,000 people have been made homeless, and 40,000 over a few days. So it's been very, very difficult. It's been very difficult since October 7 for the Palestinians. Plus, there are more curfews. It's impossible to move around the West Bank. There are over 600 kilometers of roads that are either permanently closed or inaccessible to the Palestinians. So for them, having a normal life, going to school, going to work, opening a business or continuing a business is impossible. Traveling is very, very hard. And then the southern West Bank, while the north has been attacked by the soldiers, the south, which is more rural, and the Jordan Valley have been attacked by the settlers. And through various means, on top of the ordinary, throwing sewage, attacking them in the middle of the night. There have been soldier and violent Israeli settlers arsoning villages, livestock, livelihood, orchards, beating up beating up on an everyday basis the Palestinians and the few Israeli activists who go there and try to protect them. So it looks like a circle of hell.
You are among the international authorities who most clearly denounce Israel's actions as genocide, an accusation rejected by the Zionist regime and its allies. What arguments support your position?
Yeah, in order to determine what is genocide, we need to understand what is genocide. This is defined as a crime at Article 2, supported by Article 3 of the Genocide Convention, which, as we know, was written in the aftermath of the Second World War, and it was so much wanted by a Jewish scholar, Raphael Lemkin, who coined the term genocide. And in fact, Raphael Lemkin had in mind the genocide as destruction of people as such in the settler colonial context. That is not what is reflected in the crime of genocide, which is much more narrower. So genocide is the intention to destroy a group as such, a national, ethnic, religious, or racial group as such. The emphasis is as such, because the people, the group, is not looked at as an ensemble of individuals. The individuals lose their meaning, their value. As long as they are part of the group, they're a target. And the acts of genocide that are identified by the conventions are acts of killings, members of the group as such, so killing Palestinians as Palestinians, or inflicting severe bodily or mental harm to Palestinians as such, creating conditions of life calculated to lead to the destruction of the people as such, or preventing birth or transferring children. Now, I've identified and documented 3 of these acts. The first 3. The Commission of Inquiry has also documented a 4th, the prevention of birth. So now there is almost a wall-to-wall consensus among human rights actors, human rights organizations, human rights organizations, both internationally and in Israel. Israeli human rights organizations like B'Tselem and Physician for Human Rights have written a daunting report called in Hebrew, Our Genocide. So I think it resonates in Hebrew. It resonates much louder and digs much deeper than its English translation says. But again, it's the intention to destroy a group as such, and destruction is intended in the jurisprudence as physical or biological. So there is not the cultural element, although the destruction of the culture, sites of identity, symbols of identity can also be considered a circumstantial element in the jurisprudence, is considered as a circumstantial element in the jurisprudence. So look, the intent has been said. Targeting the Palestinians as human animals, a nation responsible, subhumans, etc., etc. This rhetorical language, or the Amalek, the ultimate enemy of the biblical Israelites. I mean, this language has been acted upon by the soldiers who have now, again, they are saying that, but it's fully documented how they have targeted the Palestinians as such, because they had to see no tomorrow in Gaza. There was supposed to be no tomorrow, not just in Gaza, but even in the West Bank. This is the rhetorical language. I don't think that there is a case in recent history that represents a textbook case of settler colonial genocide as this one.
Pro-Israel voices claim that the killing of civilians, even on a large scale, is not enough to classify an event as genocide. As examples, they cite Dresden bombing during World War II and the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, none of which were denounced as genocide. How would you respond to that comparison?
Well, first of all, technically, even the the Holocaust was not defined as a genocide, but as a crime against humanity. And the fact that Dresda, Hiroshima, and Nagasaki had been destroyed the way they destroyed was also a factor in prompting the development of the international legal system that we have today. So that developed after that, in the sense you cannot destroy entire cities as vengeance. Vengeance should not be part of the lexicon of war. Protecting civilians should be a name. And this is, look, I don't dispute the argument that killing civilians is not enough to say that there is genocide. Killing civilians is a war crime. If it's systemic and widespread, so there is an intentional element, can be a crime against humanity. But if there is an additional element, which is the intent through these acts of killing, destroy the group as such, what does it mean, destruction of the group as such? The possibility to live as a group. And this has been done to the people of Gaza. It has been announced, it has been encouraged, it has been incited, it has been acted upon. And the goal was not the genocide in itself. Genocide is normally a means to an end, is normally the culmination of a number of crimes. In a situation of conflict, I mean, you might have crimes against humanity and war crimes as part of the genocide, but this is the thing: the legal framework we have is so protective that has a lot of early warning mechanisms, and genocide should be prohibited, should be prevented. No, is prohibited, should be prevented. Instead, every Israel has been met with such a culture of impunity, that has enabled it to arrive to the possibility to destroy a people as such, with the aim kicking them out of the land. Isn't it something that has been done to the Jewish people? Think during the Nazi regime, because in fact, Jewish scholars, Holocaust scholars say, document, and I agree that we do not understand, in as much as we in Europe have studied the Holocaust, we do not appreciate the critical components of it, because the Jewish people started to be genocided in the ghettos, where they were left with medical neglect or starving. They were put in ghetto as part of their isolation from the civil life. They were treated as a subcategory in civilized nations. In Italy, I mean, they were banned from civil profession in 1938 with laws of the state. So this is why I'm saying, my fellow Italians, it's not true that the genocide of the Jewish people happened away from our eyes. No, happened among us. And we just didn't see the Jewish people as equal, and therefore they could be treated as they've been treated. And then the concentration camp started to happen because it was difficult to eliminate it all. In the beginning, that crazy, awful, horrific man of Hitler and his accomplices and companions wanted to get rid of the Jews from Germany, because they were everyone who was Semitic, and the Jewish people were the highest number of Semitic people in Europe, were contaminating the Aryan race. So they had to be pulled out, and it was impossible to pull them out of Europe, because this is something that was realized when when the Nazi regime expanded to Eastern Europe. There were not just 500,000 Jews, there were millions of Jews. And this is where ethnic cleansing was very difficult, and the final solution came to be. So this is why I do believe that we need to understand what's the end game of a genocide, like it has happened in Rwanda, in former Yugoslavia. And it's clearly, so the common element is always hatred toward the other group, dehumanization of the other group. And here the Palestinians have to go. Smotrich and Ben Gvir have said it in their electoral campaign. The Palestinians have three choices: leave. If they stay, they are subjected to the chosen people. They are under us. If they complain, if they react, they will be killed. these are the three options for the Palestinians. So it's very clear where it's going.